acting like they running shit, they really ran.
Hello, my name is Corinth, and I am with the Wellness Plant. We are a holistic and herbal apothecary, and we specialize in all things to do with holistic health, to include herbal remedies, astrology, Reiki, and all other different types of mind, body, soul healing. Every month we do a roundtable with different zodiac sign placements, and today we will be looking at the sign of Capricorn. So Capricorn represents the energies of pain, restriction, and fulfillment. Capricorn is the boss of the zodiac, and its I am phrase is I use. The dates of Capricorn is from December 21st to January 20th. And Capricornus is a Latin word that means horned goat. It's the 10th sign of the zodiac, and it sits between Sagittarius and Aquarius. Capricorn turns the Sagittarius aspirations into a physical reality that Aquarius carries toward the future. The sun just moved into Capricorn on 12/22/23 at 10:27 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The energetic building blocks of Capricorn. So we know that Capricorn is a cardinal sign, it's forward moving, and it marks the beginning of the winter solstice. The sun starts to climb higher in the sky and the days start to become longer as we move towards spring. The increasing sunlight during this time of year has been the basis for holiday celebrations since ancient times. Capricorn is an earth element. It's yin, it's receptive and susceptible to gravity. Some Capricornian symbolism and keywords: the sea goat from Babylonia, Horus and the underworld themes of Egypt. If you're familiar with The Lion King, where Simba had to go to the underworld and basically get lost, and then he was directed by the guidance of his father, who was an ancestor, to reclaim his throne and go back to Pride Mountain, right? And after a battle within himself, he went back and claimed his rightful throne. And so that story is similar to Horus, who also battled his uncle, and it's really the basis of The Lion King. So there's this fatherly type of energy and symbolism that is that carries forward in the sign of Capricorn. Kronos is Saturn in Greece, and he is the Lord of Time. And Capricorn usually carries the sickle with him, and that represents the sickle represents the connection to agriculture that the sign has. Some archetypes of like Capricornian energy could be Ebenezer Scrooge or the Grinch. And so they both had these like responsibilities to their community and the world at large that they lived in. And they both were susceptible to like melancholy and like, just kind of being shrewd. The metal associated with Capricorn is lead. And lead is interesting because lead can protect. Lead is very protective, and it serves as a barrier for radiation. So when you go to the dentist and they put, you have to take x-rays of your teeth, and they put that lead barrier over you. It's the energy of Saturn and Capricorn. It's protective, and it's a barrier and a boundary. And it talks about the durability of lead and how you can mold and use lead for many reasons. It insulates. It does a lot. So lead is the energy for this sign. Again, we talk about the paternal figures and the legacy that's left with the sign of Capricorn. We talk about law and order, and we also talk about karma, because Saturn is the ruler and Saturn is the god of karma. Public efforts, farming, production, industrialization, all of that is under the energies of Capricorn. And here we have a little snippet of the Grinch, and the Grinch came out during Scorpio season. So a lot of people say the Grinch is Scorpio, but based on the story, the Grinch was born the day before Christmas. So this would have been a Capricorn, and he definitely exudes the energy of Saturn. So we'll watch this short clip and see more about the archetype.
How about those who's inviting me down now on such short notice? Even if I wanted to go, my schedule wouldn't allow it. 4 o'clock, wallow in self-pity. 4:30, stare into the abyss. 5 o'clock, solve world hunger. Tell no one. 5:30, jazzercise. 6:30, dinner with me. I can't cancel that again. 7 o'clock, wrestle with my self-loathing. I'm booked. Or from this loathing to 9, still be done in time to lay in bed, stare at the ceiling, and slip slowly into madness. That's what I want.
So this energy is very similar to the Saturnian, the self-loathing, the melancholy, the isolation. All are themes within the sign of Capricorn in that movie. Saturn is the ruler of Capricorn, the lord of karma, and the jewel of the solar system. It's one of the most beautiful planets, I would say, and it is considered the father of time and the mother of underworlds, associated with cold and isolated, restrictive energies. And it's also associated with geriatric, aged, and antiquated things. Some Saturn themes are restriction, loneliness, painful experiences, wisdom, aloofness, accomplishment, honor, pessimist, calculation, reality, bones, and skin. Anything that creates a boundary, such as our bones and our skin, can be considered or creates a structure, can be considered Saturnian. So on the other side, we have a West African a depiction of Saturn as a West African Orisha. And Saturn is old and he's bent over, and he looks like he probably has bad bones because he has crutches and he has scars on him. He's been through a lot. He seems that he has a lot of wisdom, and he's decorated, right? He has like this head guard. He has like jewels on him. And so he's been through something. He has wisdom and a story. And he reaches, I guess, maybe a door or a threshold where he holds up this honoring to him. This is what this is. This is a offering that in West African traditions, they'll use it to summon the energies of the Orisha. And they put it at the foot of the door of the threshold of before you come into their house, so that Orisha is kind of is protecting the home. And he picks up this, which is a sacrament to himself. It's something that somebody made in honor of him, and he's kind of marveling at it because, wow, he finally feels like he's made it. Now he is at the end of his road, but now he's seeing the fruit of what he has achieved in the world. And that's very Saturn. Saturn is a planet that rewards those who plan and take precautions. It is known as a disciplinarian and has a personal relationship with humankind. Saturn can manifest aspirations for those who are responsible. Individuals may suffer from melancholy and experience suffering, complications, or lack of energy in the areas where Saturn is placed in the birth chart. And it's just until that person is matured in that area that one day they will reap the benefits. So a mythology that I'm going to use for Capricorn energy and Saturn itself, the ruler, is the samurai and the demon. This is a Japanese mythology. And within this mythology, I want you to pay attention to the demon in the story, because he really is representing what Saturn is. And so this video is about, I would say, about 5 minutes, and we're going to speed it up a little bit.
In ancient Japan, there was a man who had always been lucky in life. He had been born into a good family, and so inherited the title of samurai. Feeling tired, he tied his horse to a rock and slept lying on it. But the samurai awoke, startled by the neighing of his horse. The animal had shrunk and was being carried by an ant towards a small hole in a rock. The samurai tried to grab the horse by the tail, but ended up falling for the spell that made him shrink just like his animal. The samurai and the horse took a mythical journey to another spiritual plane. They came to an obscure place and had no idea where they were. They found large rice fields where several workers were working under the aegis of demons. That place could only be the land of the Oni, the terrifying Japanese demons. A huge red demon walked up to the samurai, probably the demon lord. The man thought quickly and had an idea. He took a bow before the creature and offered his noble horse to the demon. Oni was pleased, since it was unusual for him to receive gifts willingly. He usually grabbed everything he wanted. As a sign of his goodwill, he allowed the man to return to mortal land, rewarding him for his horse. The demon handed the man a sack full of gold, as he knew that greedy men worshipped that worthless metal in the land of demons. He said the man could return to the earthly dimension, but he could never talk about the secret passage of that mysterious rock. And the samurai returned to his world. Upon his return, the samurai opened the heavy bag that had been handed to him and was impressed by the fortune. He was indeed a lucky man. As a newly rich man, he decided to abandon his daimyo and buy a beautiful estate to enjoy life. He lived his days spending his money on women and drink. His attitude quickly caused him to lose his assets. He became a penniless because luck deserted him. He was now a ruined ronin who tried to drink in the taverns. However, the owners refused to serve him because they knew he had no money. So the ronin began to boast, saying that he was a friend of an oni and that everyone would regret what they were doing. The customers and the tavern keeper laughed at him, saying that if he was able to prove his claim, he could drink for free for the rest of his life. Sasaya Hirokazuemon led everyone to the mysterious rock. He was looking for the entrance hole but couldn't find it. Meanwhile, everyone was laughing at the man, who seemed to have gone crazy from drinking so much. Suddenly, the man began to be swallowed by the hole that opened in the rock. All those present were frightened and ran away. The man fell at the feet of the Demon King, who scolded him for being so stupid. The demon took him to his sharp teeth and said he wanted to devour the promise breaker. But death would almost be a blessing for the former samurai's crime. He was condemned to work forever in the rice fields under the lashes of the onis. He was very lucky in life and never used it to do good. All the fruits of his good fortune were wasted.
Okay, so you can see in the mythology, the Japanese mythology of the samurai and the demon, just the role of the demon in really exerting some sort of restriction and discipline. And this guy was in his Jupiter, energy, which is drinking, not really being responsible, having lots of women. And he had to pay the karma to the demon who basically punished him. And that is the energy of Capricorn. In the story, the samurai was actually traveling with a horse. I also see that a lot of the Capricorn mythology utilizes animals in the storytelling, some sort of a partnership with the lonely and an animal, and the animal kind of guiding the person or helping the person in some sort of way, which I find is interesting. Even the Grinch had a dog, right? So But these themes of going into the underworld, of Satan and the devil, all associated with the sign, with the energies of Saturn, and Capricorn too, kind of, paying your debts. Saturn astronomy and natal placement. Saturn is often the third brightest planet in the night sky. It has a yellowish color and it does not twinkle. Saturn spends about 2.5 years in each sign, and Saturn takes 29.4 years to orbit the sun. And so every 30 years approximately, you get your Saturn returning to the natal placement, and it's famously known as the Saturn return, your time of maturity. Whereas Jupiter is associated with abundance, Saturn is associated with minimalism. So a lot of Saturnian people kind of just have minimal, they're not going to do too much. Where Sagittarius energy last roundtable was excess, Saturn is minimalism, okay? When Saturn returns in your chart to its natal placement, Saturn, you will be forced to mature and take on some sort of responsibility around that time. Saturn holds rulership of Capricorn in Earth and Aquarius in air. It's domicile in both of those signs. It doesn't like to be in Aries, Leo, or Cancer. It doesn't work to its best ability in those signs. It's exalted in Libra, so it likes that sign. And it also likes the 12th house, or the day side of the chart. It's a cold, icy planet, and it just does better with the energetics of day. Siblings. Okay, so the sibling signs of Capricorn, you have the Capricorn Cancer. Um, um, the Capricorn Cancer is kind of representing of the father and the mother in the chart. Both of the signs in your natal chart can talk about your family origin, your father, your mother, and something about them. And so where Cancer wants to protect and nurture you, and it's talking about more of your early childhood types of things, the things that you would need from your mother. Your father is about letting go of you, the detachment that Saturn has to help kind of when it's time for you to spread your wings and fly on your own. That's the Capricorn energy, the fatherly energy, pushing you to be the best that you could be. Aquarius and Capricorn are also ruled by, like we talked about, ruled by Saturn. And Aquarius is the Saturnian energy of the idea and the communication and the broad reaching messages. And so Aquarius is what is going to do more about humanity, right? And so the principles and the work that Capricorn does is elevated in a sign of Aquarius to be applied to everyone. The philosophy that everyone will get the work or some type of accomplishment or some type of benefit from the ideas pushed forward that the Capricorn has created. So they work together. They're right next to each other. Aquarius is 11th sign, but of course, they're separate because one is earth and one is air, both ruled by Saturn. So here's some depictions of the energies of Saturn, also called the father time. You have him there depicted with his sickle, basically letting us know about our mortality, something that we can't surpass is the reality that we live in, and that we have only a certain amount of time in this body. And so Saturn reminds us time is ticking. Things need to be done, right? Saturn, the glyph is like it reminds me of an H, but then you have like this death kind of connotations with the cross and the hook with the glyph of Saturn. And in the next depiction, you see the father passing along the skills and the legacy to his child. And that's the energy of Saturn as well. Not necessarily making old things new like Aquarius, but using the old things to move about in the world, right? Learning discipline, learning a skill. Those are all like father connotations and have a lot to do with the sign of Capricorn and the energy of Saturn itself. So a Capricorn moon that I thought about was Taraji P. Henson. We also have Cher, and we also have Amy Winehouse to represent Capricorn moons. The moon sign is going to talk about your innate security needs, your comfort, your mother, and your safety. And a Capricorn moon is not really the best placement for the moon, but it can talk about the mother and the nurturing lack thereof, or a mother that could have worked a lot. It can also talk about your emotional restraint, your cautiousness, your comfort, and what makes you feel safe is really being in charge when you have a Capricorn moon. The land and family traditions could be important, and they want to feel accomplished and secure to feel safe. The mother might have been stern or had a tedious skill. Mom might have wore the pants and had high expectations of the child. They might have had an older mother. They may undereat. This placement may cherish family recipes and may be an awesome cook. The reason I say it might under eat is because the moon is associated with the stomach, and of course, Saturn ruling the moon is going to be about scarcity and minimalism. This placement may take responsibility in a family and may assume a provider role. And the moon, like I said, is not happy here. Taraji in this interview really well, she's been going viral lately, but it really signifies what will upset and emotionally trigger the safety needs of a Capricorn moon. So let's just take a look at why she's going viral and kind of feel into the Capricorn moon.
I'm tired of hearing my sisters say the same thing over and over. You get tired.
Taraji P. Henson broke down in tears during an appearance on Gayle King's SiriusXM radio show while speaking about pay disparity for Black actresses in Hollywood. When King asked the Oscar-nominated star if she's thinking about quitting acting, Henson said this:
I'm just tired of working so hard, being gracious at what I do, getting paid a fraction of the cost.
The star of The Color Purple went on to say this:
I hear people go, you work a lot. I have to. The math ain't mathing.
King's question comes following Henson sharing similar sentiments with The Hollywood Reporter for a recent cover story. She told THR, listen, I've been doing this for 2 decades, and sometimes I get tired of fighting because I know what I do is bigger than me. I know that the legacy I leave will affect somebody coming up behind me. I've tried twice to walk away from the business, but I can't, because if I do, how does that help the ones coming up behind me? During the SiriusXM interview, Henson also shared this:
it seems every time I do something and I break another glass ceiling, when it's time to renegotiate, I'm at the bottom again, like I never did what I just did, and I'm just tired.
Henson's The Color Purple co-star Danielle Brooks also weighed in. The movie marks the star's first major film role.
Yeah. And what does it tell me? Yeah. You know? And if I can't fight for them coming up behind me, then what am I doing? I'm sorry.
Henson's words quickly went viral, with some of her Hollywood peers like Gabrielle Union and Robin Thede reposting the interview in support.
And so you see here what can trigger the safety needs of the moon, you know, and it is about feeling like you have to be the leader. You have to pave the way. You have to make something better than what it is. And you have to, especially as a Capricorn moon, you want to be compensated and feel like your work is being respected. And that is in a Capricorn moon.
For more on this story, go to
with a Capricorn rising, you see people that are very prominent. I mean, their mission in life is to achieve and to do something phenomenal that changes the world. And we have 3 people here that I would say in their own ways have done it. A lot of Capricorn risings, they come across as in their personality as a Capricorn. When you have looking at the rising sun, it could also talk about the birth environment. And so with a Capricorn rising, you may come across as serious or businesslike. You may have coagulation issues or blood clot issues. You could have joint or bone sensitivities, could usually be arms or legs are cold. Remember, Saturn's a very cold planet. You could be slim, have a certain bone structure or prominent bone structure in your face. You could be a late bloomer. You could be cautious. This person could have been born to a mature mom, and they pretty much have the ambitious quest to make their identity known in the world. The prototypes are the architect, the master builder, having the weight of the world on your shoulders, being reserved, having a birth story that was restrictive for your mother, and also involves death or a planned birthing. Teeth are either good or noticeably bad with this type of placement as well. And so here we'll talk about people that actually use their body, use their physical being to really live out that Capricorn rising promise. And it has a lot to do with your natal promise, your rising sign. What did you say you were going to do prior to coming in? Your soul say it was going to do prior to coming to human form. And so Saturn, for these people, Capricorn rising, the most personal point of the chart is the rising sign. Saturn would represent in their chart, whatever sign it's in, who they are and the work that they do in their legacy. Legacy is really important. We saw that in the moon with Taraji talking about the legacy she leaves for other actresses in their pay. And now we'll talk about how somebody that used her physical body to say no, right? Very Saturnian, left a legacy just from that simple act. She really lived out that Capricorn rising. And that's Rosa Parks.
Born the eldest of two children in 1913, Rosa Louise Macaulay was raised on her grandparents' farm in Pine Level, Alabama. As a child, Rosa was exposed to the realities of segregation. She walked to school daily because the elementary school bus system prohibited Black students from riding. Rosa later attended the Alabama State Teachers College High School. However, due to both her grandmother and mother's illnesses, she was forced to drop out. At 19, Rosa met Raymond Parks, who worked with Montgomery's NAACP chapter. After their marriage in 1932 and much encouragement, she earned her high school diploma. Rosa joined Raymond in the NAACP, serving as the chapter's secretary and youth leader.
History is peculiar. It places gifted and talented women and men in situations where they must make a choice. The choice she made was on the afternoon of the 1st of December, 1955, on a bus as she was going home from her seamstress job in a department store in Montgomery, Alabama.
Rosa, along with 3 other Black passengers, were told to give up their seats to a white male passenger. She refused and was arrested. An all-day bus boycott was organized on the day of Rosa's trial, December 5th, 1955, where she was fined $14 and found guilty.
She was a role model for courage in the face of racial injustice. Rosa Parks, through her quiet eloquence, through her commitment both to her faith and to the cause of civil rights and racial equality, was prepared to sacrifice everything, her security, even her life, to fight for what was right, at least her perception of what was justice.
Thousands of people walked, carpooled, and took cabs to work. The boycott lasted 381 days, with the 26-year-old Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. as their leader. Rosa was not the first person to refuse to give up her seat. 2 other women were previously arrested for the same offense. However, it was this quiet 42-year-old who became the face of the Montgomery bus boycott. In 1956, groundbreaking history was made.
The Supreme Court decision by a 9-0 vote supported the civil rights position, calling for an end to racial segregation on municipal buses.
Unable to find work, largely due to her political stance, the Parks moved north to Detroit, Michigan, and by 1965, Rosa began to work for Congressman John Conyers until 1988, when she retired. In memory of her husband and in her vision for a better tomorrow, Rosa co-founded the Rosa and Raymond Parks Institute for Self-Development, which educates young people on the civil rights movement, gives freedom bus tours, and provides youth with professional guidance. Rosa also worked giving lectures and advocating for social justice. Rosa Parks passed away on October 24th, 2005. She was the first woman, second African American, to lie in honor at the U.S. Capitol Rotunda. Rosa received over 24 honorary doctorates and numerous national and international awards, among them the Medal of Freedom from President Clinton. and the Congressional Gold Medal of Honor. Rosa was a grassroots activist for social justice and peace, through her efforts in the civil rights movement to her participation in the anti-apartheid movement for South Africa. Although she never planned on getting arrested, her simple action changed the course of a nation.
I think Mrs. Parks unexpectedly had greatness thrust upon her. I think she was born for it. And I do think she achieved it. You see what I mean? But had she not, on that particular day, said, I'm not moving, my feet hurt, we would have a different nation and a different world.
Okay, so as you can see with Rosa, she just was a phenomenal woman that left a huge legacy. And we also have Clarence Thomas, who most don't like that I know, but he's a very conservative judge. Also Capricorn rising, and known for saying no. You know, he's the second Black Supreme Court judge in America, and so he has prominence, of course, and had to have some ambition. We have Naomi Campbell, who is a supermodel and paved the way for so many other Black models. And so these people, I mean, actually use their physical bodies in so many ways to and their physical being and to pave the way and to be some sort of leader. Next, we have the Capricorn sun. You know, most people are familiar with the sun sign. It is the ego. It's what we think we are. It's identity. It's how we individuate. It's our vitality, our quest. It's about the father as well. When you have a sun in Capricorn, it kind of emphasizes the father. So maybe you look or act like your father in some way. Also with the Capricorn rising, that can be the case too. You look like your dad. But with the Capricorn sun, your life's purpose is really to make change, right? You're going to be motivated to do that cardinal earth thing. And the most worldly sign is the Capricorn sun. They're just going to be seen doing something. They are, you know, on a journey of recognition. They enjoy life as they get older. Goals can be accomplished first, though, before they, you know, want to have enjoyment. They can be restrained and controlled. And sometimes you find that they're lowly paid, but have really good skills. They could also be scraping by with money or be prestigious and accomplished with plenty of money. The dad could have had money or just a handy skill. And they're concerned with natural sciences and occult learning, such as astrology, because they have a need to understand laws, rules, regulations. That's kind of Capricorn energy, right? So I find that Capricorn suns are one of my, I have more Capricorn sun clients than any other sun sign. And so I think that you know, they don't really give it to Capricorn, but it's still a feminine energy, and it's a magical, it is a magical type of energy because you can manifest with the Capricorn sun, with this earth cardinal energy. It's powerful. And so we have some Capricorn suns here who are known for various things. We have Michelle Obama. I forgot the Princess of Wales names. And then we also have, oh gosh, I can't even think his name. Oh God, but he's an EGOT. He has the Emmy, the Grammy, the Oscar, and the Tony. And I can't think of why I can't think of his name, but he's definitely John Legend. He's definitely a legend, right? And he has like a classic type of tone to his voice, and that's why somebody suggested that his last name is just his entertainment name, that the last name be Legend, because he has like a legendary type of voice. And I think that's so you know, so good and goes completely with the Capricorn energy. Lastly, we have Betty White, who is hysterical. We also have Muhammad Ali, okay, who was known to say no. He said no about going to Vietnam, and he really made America look at how Black people viewed war and going to war against nations of color when they weren't even treated fairly in America. And so there was some things, yes, he was a boxer, but beyond the entertainment was really what he was known for. Beyond just boxing, he was a heavyweight champion, but he also was his mind and his ability to see the realities, the Saturnian energy of the reality of the situation, really, kind of turned America on its head and asked those questions. Jim Carrey is a legend. He played the Grinch, and he is very funny. And so now we're getting to the chart review and interview process of the presentation. So clocks and calendars are important, right? Anybody else?
I'm very bad at time.
Really? That's interesting.
Yeah, sometimes I don't know how much time has gone by. Time just slips away from me. So
you're not a stickler with time?
No, not at all.
Interesting. Okay. Why is it important to tell yourself no?
Ooh, I got you.
Go ahead. I know you. Oh, Lord. Go ahead, Jordan.
I'm all about boundaries and saying no. And I think sometimes that can be seen as a really negative, downer kind of trait. But I think telling yourself no or putting the word no out into the world, especially when dealing with loved ones and people that are really hard to say no to, ultimately you're protecting yourself. You're protecting your energy. You're protecting your wellness. You're advocating for yourself, and it may not be the same kind of advocacy that other signs do. It may look different, but at the end of the day, you're accomplishing the same thing.
Oh, for sure. Probably even more. So one of the reasons is for protection, which is a very like yin, type of energy. Anybody else? Why is saying no important? Or do you say no? Maybe you don't say no. Maybe I'm a Jupiterian, so I'm always saying yes. And that's the problem. Anybody always saying no or saying yes?
I usually it's a yes until it's a no. I'm bad with setting boundaries.
Really? I want to look at your chart now.
Yeah, when you see it, it makes sense why. But I have a hard time saying no.
I find it's really easy for me to do with work, but in my personal life, it's a lot harder
to say no. Well, with work, it's easy to say no.
Very easy. Yes.
I didn't think that would be the case. I thought it would be the opposite.
I need boundaries at work, because I do a lot of interpersonal work. So I learned really quick that you have to set it. But when it comes to like interpersonal stuff, those lines are a little more blurred,
For sure. It's harder, right? Next question is, what do you work hard for? Do y'all feel like y'all work hard? Maybe y'all don't. Maybe I'm just doing all the Capricorn cliches. Learn me. Do y'all work hard for something?
Yeah. Actually, I think it's easier for maybe just to say what I don't work hard for, because I think the problem is that sometimes with Capricorn placements, back to that phrase of I use, like you really tie sense of self-worth to your utility in a situation.
Right, that's so true.
And so I work hard at everything, at work, at friendships, at personal relationships, to the point where, once again, if those boundaries don't come into play, sometimes you're betraying yourself in a way, towards what you work hard for, which I think is why it's so great for us to have some Jupiter energy to balance us out, to let us know that sometimes we don't have to work for it. Sometimes we just deserve it.
Right.
Yeah.
Anybody else working hard?
Yeah, I find myself always working. I've had a job since 14, 15, and I've always had multiple jobs, and sometimes I can't see the end goal of what I am working for. That's why what we're asking is interesting. Like, what do you work hard for? Sometimes I'm just like blindly I need to feel of use.
Okay.
I just don't know how else to be. Like when you ask, if I'm going to do it, I'm doing it. Like if I commit to that thing, if I want to do that thing, I'm going to do it all the way down. And so, and also just, I'm very goal oriented. And so, yeah, I don't know how else to be. Yeah.
I think with Saturn being so prominent too, it's like when you think about the mythology of the samurai and the demon, I mean, he made a promise that he would do something. And I think sometimes with Saturnian people, if you don't do what you're supposed to do, and it's the same thing with Libra too, you deal with karma because you're supposed to be doing something. You're supposed to be working hard at something, and having a goal is very Capricornian as well. So it's not just blindly doing things, but doing things with a purpose. I think it's really different than Sagittarius. When I was in a Sagittarius talk, I mean, it was a lot about, oh, I want to travel because I feel like it. Oh, it's fun. Oh, this, oh, that. And then it's like way different energy. But like Capricorn is like, look, I got a job to do. I don't know how to do nothing else. Like, this is what, you know what I mean? So it's just a very different energy coming from y'all. What do you want to be your legacy? And that's a very big question. You can really like one thing that you want to leave as legacy, because that's a big question, especially for a Capricorn or Capricorn placement.
That's really hard to answer. As I get older, it shifts a little. And I guess I'll better be able to answer that when we get to my interview part, because it's like a thing I want to build. Yeah.
Anybody else? Legacy.
I'm a filmmaker, so I've always wanted to have really good coming of age movies. It's always been like a goal of mine. Yeah, just something successful in film.
For me, I see it a lot coming up in just my profession because I work in the nonprofit field and charity fields. So my legacy is more tied to just wherever I'm at, I want to fix what's broken within that system. Like I'm definitely not the kind of person to tear that system down and obliterate it and build something new. Like that's not how I operate, but I'll use what's at my disposal to make people be accountable for their behavior and to leave a place better than how I found it. So wherever that is, that'd be the case.
Neat. Now that line is very Capricorn. Leave a place better than where I found it. That's Capricorn.
Yeah.
That's Capricorn. And I think that's why so many prominent people have that Capricorn sun or Capricorn rising. Like I said, I was looking at celebrities I did Libra, Scorpio, Sag so far. And I was looking at people that people can relate to or people know about and prominent people. And like every time I did a Capricorn, I was like, damn, my jaw, like they had Capricorn. Now wonder, like, these are big, heavy hitter, like big folks. Like this ain't just, oh, they're famous. They are people that made imprints. Like literally what was there after they left was not there until they came. So that is like phenomenal. As a Jupiterian, when I did Sag, it's like, we hope that we can do all this. We really would like to, you know what I mean? But Capricorn is putting in the work, and when I was talking to Sag, they were like, we really don't want to work. And I was like, me either. And it's like, we kind of get each other. So we don't want to do the work. And I'm so grateful that we have Capricorn and I'm so grateful I have one planet in Capricorn because I need that. I need that it cultivates. Like especially if you have anything 0 degree Capricorn, you about to do something real big. I've seen a lot of charts with 0 degree or 22 degree Capricorn, huge legacies left. So it's just a sign that can manifest, and there's something magical about that because I feel like the other signs, they're just like, kind of wishy-washy. It's not tangible the way it is in Capricorn. What do you learn from your elders? Because Saturn in Capricorn is taking something from the past, and there is a respect for authority or elder or tradition. And so what do you take from your elder, or what do you take from your tradition? What is important to you about that? Or
I was raised predominantly by my grandmother, and I always, have had an elder woman in my life, but now I'm 50 and I'm slowly becoming the elder in other people's lives. And I just highly value wisdom. And it's not only listening to stories, but it's how we apply their story to what we want to build from here. So I don't know if that answered your question, but
Yes,
that's
it
how
did.
it for me. Yeah.
Taking legacy forward is very Capricorn. Respecting the legacy and bringing something forward from it. Anybody else? What do you take from elders, or what do you take from your traditions?
I've always felt comfortable talking with older people. Like when I was in middle school, we used to volunteer at a retirement home, and I've always felt comfortable just like having long conversations in at a young age and applying it. And like I've always felt like I can mimic. So, and that subconsciously happens or consciously. Not doing something or seeing a lesson in something that someone's telling me, even if they haven't realized it yet.
Seeing the lesson, that precaution, that's Capricornian.
Yeah.
Anything, Jordan?
Yeah, I think I'm really fortunate that I come from a family that's matriarchal in a sense. Like we have very strong women in our family. We have men that are very supportive of those very strong women in our family, who really hold space for that strong feminine energy. So from my elders, whether it's my mom or my now departed grandmother, I definitely learned that poise and that strength in femininity. And then another lesson that I've always wanted to take forward from kind of any elder I've interacted with is remembering that you do always have the ability to change as a person. And I think sometimes when people get older, well, I'm older and therefore I'm correct, or I'm older and therefore I have no lesson to learn from you. And I never want to be that type of elder when I am in that position.
For sure. I can say also like the difference between this kind of talk and Sagittarius was Sagittarius kept talking. And here, y'all are thinking about the questions. You can see Saturn is at work here because you're more, directed. You're more, whatever I say, I'm thinking about it. And that's more Capricorn because Sag just bleh, bleh, bleh. And so it's just a different energy. It's so interesting as you move through the signs. But I will jump on in this one because I don't have like a prominent Saturn, but I love old people and I work in healthcare. And I feel like, I shouldn't say old people, but elders. And I feel like all of my life lessons in my career has been from my elderly patients. I adore them. I love them so much. I mean, I like taking care of young people and like adults, but elderly people are just their stories. Their stories. I can sit under them forever. And that type of guidance and that, like you said, wisdom, you can't buy that. And they're just, I think once you when you reach a certain age, if you've had a good life, right? Your ability to love everybody comes through. And there's been so many patients that I had that are elderly and you never think it, but they love everybody. They love all their nurses and they kiss you and they hug you. And it's just an energy that you don't get with adults. You don't get with the general population. And I think that comes with age. That's that Saturn. After I reach a certain age, then I reap the benefits of life. And really the ultimate goal for everybody is love. Love is the ultimate answer. So I got one more question and then we'll dig into charts. All right. What will it take for you to feel like you're achieved? Sometimes I feel like with a lot of my Capricornian friends, again, Capricorn's on my 11th cusp, is that, okay, girl, you done did everything. Now what? I mean, you just, you stopped that. Now you're going after something. I mean, I'm not saying, cut yourself short, but when do you stop to celebrate? I know y'all like to work hard, but that's just me being Jupiterian. But what do you guys, when will you be accomplished, or will you ever be accomplished? Will you always keep reaching? Like, does that goat ever say, okay, I'm at the top, I'm good now? Do it ever get to the top? No. Jordan says no. Oh my God.
Yeah, sorry. I as soon as you were asking that question, I was like, yeah, no, that's not gonna happen. I definitely think I definitely think going back to that learning lessons from elders thing, I'm fortunate in that my mom really has taught me how to take a step back and celebrate myself in those moments of accomplishment. But there is no top for me. There is no, okay, cool, now I'm here and I'm gonna rest on my laurels and kick up my heels. Like, if I achieved one thing, that's awesome. There's 12 other things that I haven't achieved. I don't know, honestly, on my deathbed, I'll look back on it all and be like, all right, yeah, that checks out. And that'll that'll be it for me.
Wow. Anybody else?
I find myself like working blindly, like I said earlier. And so sometimes I don't know that I've hit the milestone because in my mind, I just want to be successful. And if that doesn't, I don't know. It's kind of like when you get something, I can't celebrate it. I can't bask in it because I didn't really imagine getting there. It's just kind of like working blindly. So yeah, I've been trying to come up with tangible things because I think in my mind it's just like be successful. And so like when sometimes I like don't sit in, like you said, Jordan, like goals or things that I've set in the past because I don't remember that I set them. I just like to be successful or put together or to like look put together. But I'm working on it.
Yeah, for sure. Jordan said something important because she was like, well, both of you said the same thing. I think just like celebrating the small things. Like that's something, especially with my Capricorn friends, I'm like, okay, can we go get some drinks, brunch, something? You know, it's like, and they're like, no, I got something else to do. And I kind of relate to that. I kind of understand that because you're goal focused, but at the same time, like, when do you have joy? Like that's so Saturnian. You're always, you know, beaten, and I understand that's important, but it is important as well to celebrate yourself. I feel like, you know, that melancholy, that depression, feeling like you never have enough or you've never been enough is a Saturnian kind of thing. And with Saturn, you'll never be enough. So like you gotta balance that in some kind of way.
The joy is in the work.
I also want to talk about the cardinality of Capricorn though. You know, it's like, okay, cured world hunger, what's next? You know, and so like being here now, you know, is difficult, you know, because you're just like it's like, okay, what's next? What can I impact next? What can I build next?
True.
You know? And so I've been really fortunate to have friends over the years because imposter syndrome is so strong when you're Capricorn prominent. They're like, you just did the damn thing. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I guess I just do the damn thing, you know. So it's really important when you're Capricorn prominent to have like friends that really like know that you're deficient there, and they're like, hey, did you see what you just did? That's been very helpful. But I will probably die 2 minutes after a reading. I will never retire. I will be like croaking over after a session.
Oh, damn. Yeah, that's kind of crazy to me because being Jupiterian, like I'm always trying to party and I'm always inflating myself like I've done it, yay! And I haven't done shit, but it feels good, right? And so that's a Jupiterian thing. Like I don't understand that Capricorn. I wish I had more of that. Like, oh no, I haven't done enough. Because the problem that I have is I feel like, oh, now it's time to rest. I did absolutely nothing, but I can rest. And it's like, no. It has to be tangible. It has to be something that you're actually working towards and something that you continue. And that's the difference between, I could say, with Sagittarius, because yes, it is future oriented about ideals and dreams and things like that. It is, but it is also about now. Like it's time to have fun now. You know what I'm saying? It's not like Capricorn with that cardinality and what is in the future and building towards the future at all. And so, yeah, we have a lot, Sagittarius, a lot of dreams and stuff, but that's all. It just, it's good for the spirit, but you do have to definitely, like Jordan said, have the balance. All right, let's get into some charts here. our first chart that we're going to do is going to be, let me see, because okay, we're going to do Clarence Thomas, and I'm only going to do one celebrity chart, and then I'm gonna get into y'all's chart, just because I thought that his chart was very interesting. Let me know if y'all see my screen. I don't know. Can y'all see? Because now I can't see y'all. Let me see.
Yes.
Okay. Clarence is a, get out of here. Okay, Clarence, he's a Capricorn rising. Okay. What I thought was interesting about his chart is Saturn is ruling his chart from Leo. Okay, so Saturn and Leo is ruling his chart, which I thought was interesting because that's going to put more of a spotlight, because the sun is ruling Leo, on those Saturnian things, right? And he's known to be a very conservative judge. He's definitely the judge that says no, okay? And he's definitely motivated by religion and tradition. And I put myself up by the bootstraps, since why can't y'all? That's kind of his philosophy. And so to me, he's very Capricornian. You can see that the sun is in, he has like a stellium in Cancer. He has a retrograde Mercury, a retrograde Venus. And so he's a very complicated person, because you can see this opposition between his sun and Jupiter. And so it's going to be very easy for him to say no and be conservative, because he has a very strongly placed Saturn ruled by the sun in Cancer. And Cancer is all about tradition. It's all about, what was there before, and, kind of keeping things it's about tradition. He has a lot of planets there, and he has several that are retrograde, and he just might not be a person that necessarily listens or wants change, because sometimes change can be very scary to Capricorn placements. But a very successful man, but not my favorite person in the world. Did anybody else see anything about his chart that they thought was interesting?
I mean, just all those Cancer placements. I was hoping you were going to bring those up, because I'm not a fan of Clarence Thomas, and so I was like, us Cap placements don't claim him. You
right?
Have him. I don't want him. But yeah, I think definitely having both of those energies in his chart at the same time, definitely for an intense character, for sure, because that rigidity of Capricorn and that energy coming in, but you've also got that Cancer who you can pry tradition from their cold dead fingers, because they're not letting it go.
Not at all. Not at all. And the moon is ruled also by Saturn. It's in Aquarius. And Aquarius people, I love them to death, but if they believe something, or they believe they're right about something, they are not going to budge. I mean, they have the same type of energy of Saturn, but in an ideal way. So he's kind of he's very steadfast in what he believes in. And I just thought that was interesting, because the Saturn in Leo is ruling the ascendant and the moon. And you know how Leo is, Leo is, I'm the best. And, so he could be very pompous, especially with a domicile Jupiter. He might feel like, he's dogmatic and he's traditional, and I'm not going to change and take it or leave it. This is what's right. And yeah, it's very, very Capricornian. I have a Who was about to say something? Go ahead.
I was just a little surprised that his son is in the 7th house.
His son?
Yeah, his son, right? Isn't it?
No, his son is in the 6th house, which makes sense.
Oh,
his son,
okay.
Yes, he's a 7th house, but his Saturn is in the 7th house. So he might have got a lot of restriction and authority placed on him as a young child, and as a result, probably from the father, and as a result, he feels like he needs to control everybody else and stick to those types of conditions. But no, his son is in the 6th house, and that's not, the sun doesn't like to be in the 6th house. He has a lot of planets there. So it's very interesting. And also looks like, could be, mental illness. I don't know. But
I want to
anyway,
say something real quick about this
go ahead.
too.
Please.
I saw a little documentary about him and it blew my mind that he was initially, when he was younger, part of the Black Panther movement.
Was he really?
Yes, he was. But anyway, what I'm seeing here is that Saturn in Leo is really harsh, on a person, because that Saturn is squashing that Leo energy. And then you've got that Pluto sitting on top of it. And what that says to me is, if you are not sure of yourself, you will, and it's in the 7th house of your partnerships,
Right.
you can really overcompensate. And you can really overcompensate because you're trying to find yourself, and I think that, and this is my bias because I cannot stand that man, but, I think you view Pluto, but I view Saturn as a planet for Black people, and it's so interesting that both Pluto and Saturn are conjunct.
Right, that's
And,
true.
and so, like, a lot of times to me, when Saturn's involved, if you're doing stuff, you're doing it for the culture, and like he seems to just, I'm going off on a tangent, sorry, but that Pluto Saturn
For
in
sure.
Leo in the 7th, I'm seeing a lot of his internal stuff in that. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I always look at Jupiter for judges. He has Jupiter in Sag, but what's interesting is how it's opposing the early Cancer stuff. So it's kind of in opposition to his sun. So there's some, like you said, some identity, trying to find himself, and he has a domicile Jupiter as well. And so he may puff himself up. And I don't know, this guy's very complicated. And as you can see, you have Neptune, you have the moon, and you have the sun, and they're all kind of aspecting themselves with Neptune at the apex in Libra. And that makes me think of somebody that's in law that's not really being honest, or somebody that's not being, because Neptune kind of brings a haziness in regards to truth and seeking and all the things that kind of Libra stands for, with the balance of the law and order and things like that, and being impartial. But when you have Neptune there's some deception, and that being at the apex. So he doesn't know who he is, and that's a problem for him. He's trying to fit into like this Republican thing, probably for money and power, and that's probably not who he is. It's not true to his roots. So at some point, his career, Jupiter and Sag, is kind of fighting on his public persona in 11th house, is fighting like kind of his background, his traditions, and the things that kind of, and that's the personal struggle that he has to deal with, because. But anyway, let's get into you guys' chart. First, let me know who wants to go first. I want you to say something about yourself and say what you do. And anything that is Capricornian about you. And then the other people will try to guess your placement, and then we'll pull your chart up. So who wants to go first so I can pull your chart out while you're talking? Whoever wants to go first, go.
Dang, y'all, okay. I'll go first.
So your hesitancy. Go ahead, Jordan. They was fighting over each other in the Sag one. I'm like, hold on, wait a minute. When that attack? Go ahead, Jordan.
So it was say something about myself and what I do. Is that what it was? I'm sorry.
Yeah. And then something that's like Capricornian about yourself.
Okay. Well, my name's Jordan. I am 31. I've worked with wildlife for a very long time. I love animals. That's the core of who I am as a human being, and I think always will be. And that kind of led me to my work in the nonprofit sector, which is what I do now. I moved to the Keys in 2017. I became the executive director of a wildlife nonprofit down in the Keys. It kind of fell in my lap under really weird circumstances. It wasn't my plan, and the opportunity presented itself, and I seized it. And now I'm in a different nonprofit here in Miami, And I'm the director of grant development, so a fundraising writing position for that organization. And it's also kind of a science animal organization. What's Capricorn about me? A lot. A lot of things.
Very true.
I think on the more negative leaning side, I am very, very melancholy. And I can be very, very stubborn. I can definitely be like Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh. Just in my little cranky hut with my little tacked on tail, just pouting about life sometimes. But on the plus side of that, at least my friends and people whose opinions I trust have said I have a very grounding energy about me, and that my sense of setting boundaries and my sense of kind of self really calms their day down if they're having a bad day. So I'll have coworkers come stand next to me and I'll look up and I'll be like, yeah, what do you need? I just needed to sit in your energy for a minute, and then they just kind of move along. So I'm very protective and just, I don't know, very Saturnine in nature, I guess.
And did you say what your title is at work?
Currently director of grant development, so fundraising position.
Okay, so boss. All right.
Boss energy, yeah.
And so, do you guys want to guess what Jordan is? Sun, moon, or rising?
I guess moon.
Okay, Capricorn moon. All right.
I'm going back and forth between sun and moon. They're neck and neck. I don't know.
Okay, can I ask why you said moon, Alicia?
When you were talking earlier about like boundaries and like with your family members, and then even though like how you're presenting yourself, I do agree with you, Venus. I am like, damn, sun or moon, because it's so concentrated. I am not thinking that it's rising at all. That's why I like.
Okay, and why are you tied between sun and moon and not rising?
Because it's just innately Capricorn to have that boss ass energy. It's just innate in a lot of the things that, I'm sorry, what are your pronouns, Jordan?
She.
A lot of things that she said are just very innately Capricorn. But there's also some things that she said around the women in her life, and I was like, oh, okay. I could see that being the moon.
I see now.
And also dealing with things like money, or about helping people have the things they need, and so I'm stuck between both of those. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Either way, we know it's some prominent Capricorn. All right, let's see what we got here.
Is this in Placidus or whole sign?
It's Placidus. I only do, I'm a Placidus girl.
All right, good.
I'm a Placidus girl, y'all. So I don't even know how to read whole sign. I don't even try. So I put everybody's chart in Placidus.
That's perfect. I prefer mine in Placidus.
Okay, so y'all see what she is? Alicia?
Oh my God.
Okay, so she's a Capricorn sun and a hell of a stellium. She has an exalted Mars. She has the North Node in Capricorn. She has a Mercury in Capricorn. She has Uranus and Neptune and this and that. Domicile Saturn. So this is a Saturnian person. Also, we have the South Node, kind of opposing everything in Capricorn, especially the early stuff, especially the Mars, which is interesting. We have a Venus in Sag, a Pluto in Scorpio generation, Jupiter in Virgo, which Jupiter does not like Virgo, and a Gemini moon like me.
And a Gemini moon in the second of resources. So okay. That
makes sense with her being grants and things like that. That makes a lot of sense. And so what else can we say about her chart? She has right now, what you would have is, hold on, let me go to, I forgot to tell y'all, I did tell y'all about things looking good in Capricorn, like around February. And that's also because a lot of Fortune and Venus and Cupido, all of them bring manifest money, things like that, things that y'all like. as Capricorn placements. So early February next year, it's going to be really, y'all should be getting something positive coming. But we have Pluto that is still sitting very close to your sun, and will be for a couple of years. So you're in the process of transforming your identity and who you are, and maybe a purpose and things like that. And then you also have Mercury that's ready to come into the sign. I already told you that. You have the sun that is conjunct your Mars. So are you finding that you're doing more? Are you working more, Jordan? Are you super busy right now? Because you got a lot you got the sun that's coming over your exalted Mars now.
I wouldn't say I'm working more, because I'm just kind of working all the time.
You always work, right?
Yeah, but I will say I've been having to watch my mouth more so I don't get myself caught up in workplace conflict. So that's where I see that Mars popping off a little bit right now, for sure.
Okay.
Got a smart mouth. So
yeah,
look out for that.
Okay, because, and that's something we didn't talk about either, is that we didn't talk about Capricorn and humor. I was supposed to have one Capricorn here who was actually a comedian. But what I found is that a lot of Capricorns, right? People think they're dry and boring. They're funny as fuck, right? I know so many Capricorns, like that dry humor is like, I can't describe it, but it's funny. Jim Carrey. Who else is a Capricorn? I looked up a couple of people, but there's some Capricorns that are funny. Like, you'll be rolling. And the guy that was supposed to come, I'm mad he didn't come, but he's one of my favorite clients. He's been with me the longest. He's a Capricorn, and he's a comedian. And I just thought that was interesting as well. So Jordan, you're just chugging along here, and you're having where's your Venus? 22 degrees in a fixed sign. Okay. You have the moon conjunct your ascendant right now. Okay. I think that's cool in Taurus, and you are a Taurus rising, and your Venus is ruling the chart from Sagittarius. And so, yes. And so where do we think we get that? So that makes sense, because the moon, the Venus is ruling the chart, right, from Sagittarius, and Jupiter is in Virgo. So this would make somebody that wants to service people, help people, and I feel like also with Jupiter and Virgo, it's almost like you make people your family. Almost, you just take care of people. And so that might be the energy people feel. It's still an earth energy. You're super earthy. You got an earth rising, you got Jupiter, Venus, you got all these Capricorn placements. So you just feel very sturdy to people. And you do feel that way to me too, because there's been issues where I, as a Jupiterian, don't have boundaries with my family. I'm like, who do I call? And Jordan has really walked me through that, gave me actual practical steps. You know what I mean? Because, a lot of people help people and they just be like, girl, you'll be good. I want to support you. But they don't give you steps. A Capricorn Mercury and a Capricorn Sun give you the steps that you need to be able to hold those boundaries. And I feel like that's a blessing. That's how you really bless your friends, Jordan, because I'm very grateful for you for that, for me especially. So yes, that is Jordan's chart. Anything else? Anything you want to say about your chart, Jordan?
Well, first off, thank you very much for the compliment. That was really sweet. I appreciate that. I definitely try to be that for people. And you're right. My people are my people, and I hold them very close to my heart.
She does.
I think the only other thing I would bring up about my chart is that, oh my goodness, that 6th house placement in Virgo. I can't remember who said it, but they likened it to the fact that I love working with animals, and smaller animals specifically, and that my nonprofit work is geared towards that, because I specifically love working with birds and reptiles. So
that's something I forgot to say. Yes, animals. With Capricorn, any earth placement, but yes, that is very. And another thing is that Jordan writes letters, which I thought was so phenomenal. As another Gemini moon, something that really spoke to my heart was she sent me a letter, and it was handwritten, and she took the little, whatever the wax thing is, to close the letter.
Yeah.
And that is so like a traditional, it touched my heart. I was like, and that's, as a Gemini moon, I was like, Jordan, but people don't do stuff like that. That's so Capricornian, so traditional, and so
This is my wax seals.
She has wax seals for her. Like,
I got a box of wax seals for my letter.
Right. So I thought that, and that's very interesting with the Mercury in Capricorn. And you know, and that ruling that moon. So that's how she emotionally connects to people. I just thought that was so cool. All right, who wants to go next for their chart? Okay, Alicia, tell me a little bit about yourself. What makes you Capricorn, all the stuff I just told her.
Yeah. Well, I'm a filmmaker, and I will just work any job. I've had so many different jobs. I've been a substitute teacher. I've worked at a chocolate shop this year, and even just this year, I've been a barista. I've been a receptionist at an acupuncture shop. Yeah, tons of jobs. But yeah, I'm very creative. I feel most comfortable seeing out a vision, or like a creative vision being executed. What makes me Capricorn, I guess, is like the work stuff. And yeah, I guess I can go from, like, within the creative field, you find people who sometimes aren't as disciplined or don't have like the left brain skills, that I can kind of bring that into my world a little bit, that I can see details and things pretty clearly. Yeah, I'm not very like harsh or mean, but I can be, and I need to be. Yeah.
You definitely give me Capricorn energy. So, anybody want to guess? Sun, moon, rising.
I was gonna go with rising. Just I feel like there's a force of personality there. Like you definitely have a presence about you. I wasn't gonna necessarily go with moon, only, well, shoot. Now I'm second guessing myself, y'all. Never mind. My first guess was rising. I could see a case for moon as well. But I think where I was at with the rising, compared to like maybe Venus, would be the fact that you have a specific relationship with time that isn't as regimented. Like, time matters to you, but time can also get away from you. So I was putting that more as like maybe a rising than a moon thing, because I would imagine maybe someone with that moon placement would need that emotional stability tied to like that time tracking. But that's a guess on my part.
That's exactly why I chose rising too. Because like if it was a moon, it would be like a deep need, to have that, kind of energy. But I could be wrong.
Okay. And so the Libra episode was the only episode that everybody thought knew everybody's sign. Everybody else didn't know. And I was surprised with Scorpio. I'm like, y'all are supposed to be investigators. I mean, what's up? All right. So let's see what Alicia is.
Congrats, you guys are right.
Y'all did that. Y'all guessed that. But I promise you, it's so strong. I can feel it too.
I think it's diluted. So it's interesting that you say that. I think it's very diluted, the Capricorn.
Well, we see Neptune there, so that has a lot to do with a lot. But I think for me, I always look at the physical structure and the kind of way you present yourself. Capricorn risings are just very, I wouldn't say they look mean. I wouldn't even say they have a resting bitch face. It's just like unbothered. It's just like, it's just I don't know. It's Saturnian to me. And so I like your chart because you have this domicile moon there. You have some interesting things going on that makes sense to why you have issues with some of the Capricornian things. But your Saturn is in Aries, okay? And it does not want to be in Aries. It wants to be in Libra. So therefore, it's not a happy Saturn, and it's also retrograde. So this is something that actually I would think, because it's in Aries and because it's retrograde, that this is something that you learned with maturity. Have you had your Saturn return yet?
No,
okay.
I'm not.
Okay, so I think once you have that Saturn return, which all of us, I think you'll start feeling more into that Saturn energy, that timeliness, that I mean, you have it innately because you're a rising. I mean, it is who you are, but I think you're going to develop that area. Are you in school or anything?
No, I'm not in school.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, because I see Saturn in the 3rd house. What is your relationship with education?
I was very like a procrastinator in school. Like I could pull it together and make something look nice, but I'd wait till the last second to like write a 20-page paper. Yeah.
Did you do college?
Yeah.
Got a bachelor's?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I stayed the journey, but definitely I don't like showing up. Like I like learning, but I don't like going to a place every day. That's awful to me.
Okay. Because you have a Saturn that is ruled by a Mars that is opposing. So, you know, doing things at the last minute, kind of just not knowing when to do things, because sometimes Aries, you know, fire energy just running into stuff. Oh, this sounds fun. And then, oh no, I need to be more disciplined. And then there's a tug and pull within your psyche about go for it, don't go for it. This is the right thing. This isn't the right thing. And sometimes, and you're going to fail a couple of times because that's just how Saturn teaches you. But you have Neptune in the 1st house. You have a Saturn ruled by Mars opposing its ruler. You have a Sun, a Leo. I love Leos. And you have that in the 8th house. Okay. And then you have Mercury ruling Mars, Venus, and the North Node. And Mercury is where? I don't see Mercury. Oh, Mercury is in Virgo. So it's in its domicile. Venus is in fall.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, Venus is in fall, but it's it's conjunct a Mercury. So you're like smart as fuck. Like I could see where you would be like creative because of the Neptune and stuff, but also very, very intelligent, you know, with Mercury and Venus being together and Mercury being in its domicile. And then I also look at Uranus as well for intelligence, and it likes Aquarius. So for that to be in the 2nd house, I think is good. Pluto is in Sagittarius right now. So you just had, you know, a lot of planets go over your Saturn. And so 4 degrees of Capricorn. Let's look at your transits real quick. Okay, so the sun is ready to cross right over your Capricorn ascendant. Sometimes with Capricorn ascendant, you got to be very careful with your bones, you know, especially as you get older, your teeth, things like that. You know, you could be, you know, you got to take your vitamin D and all that stuff. And there could be a way that you're showing up more, especially as we get into Capricorn season. Talking more, being a leader of some sort, shining more, because the sun is going to be going through your 1st house along with eventually Mars and Mercury. Is there any questions that you have about your chart?
I've always been curious about my ascendant being in the 4th degree, since it's Cancer. That's a Cancer degree, or at least I've heard and read. Like if that's why I don't feel like super Capricorn. And that with my moon being in Cancer too. I just feel very like I'm all about the feelings and emotions and things. I can shut them off and kind of like hide it if I don't speak. But yeah, I don't feel very Capricorn. So
you don't feel Capricorn. And that makes sense. I mean, you have a very permeable Capricorn with Neptune there, but you are a Capricorn rising. You come across as a Capricorn rising. And even though, you know, sometimes when Saturn, I mean, when its planet doesn't like a sign that it's in, it's going to be even more forceful. So you may not feel like a Capricorn, but the 7th house looking at you, we can see the Capricorn. Sometimes you don't feel your rising necessarily, but other people feel it from you. And so you know, you identify that. And just because it's at a Cancer degree, what that means to me is that that this Capricorn rising could learn a lot from tradition, could learn a lot from their roots, could learn a lot that would bring even more into the family dynamic. Okay. And the family roots will be even stronger because it's at a Cancer degree. And, you know, so, you know, maybe you show up with your family a little bit more structured, or some way like that. Maybe it's more of a family dynamic or mom or something like that, and or whatever. But you get nurturing from people that you meet because you have that domicile moon in Cancer. So very interesting. But Mars could be a problem, because Mars and Saturn could be a problem because you have both malefics in signs that they don't want to be in. So that could be a problem. But you'll get your Saturn return, and you'll mature, and you'll learn when to go and when not to go, and grow. And you'll grow. And what happens also with Saturn being on your ascendant, you are going to grow into that rising sign, because it takes so long. Saturn it takes time to mature you into that feeling too. So later on in life, you will start feeling more like a Capricorn, I'm sure. Even though the ascendant changes with secondary progressions, but we're talking about just the overall psyche. Okay. All righty.
I also wanted to say another reason why I thought maybe rising is because that would put Gemini in the 6th of like, let's do this, let's try this, let's do this, let's go over here. So that makes sense too.
Yes, true. All right, dear. You want to tell us about yourself? Tell us what you do, and what I know something about what you do because you told us, but anything Capricorn, anything you want to share with us.
Okay, so like I said, I was predominantly raised by my grandmother. My mom had me 2 months before her 16th birthday. And so I lived sometimes with my mom, but mostly with my grandmother, who was like my mother figure. I am the eldest of half siblings, of 3 half siblings. And I discovered tarot and astrology when I was 19 and just became obsessed with it. And I would do readings for free, like in coffee houses, at raves and park, like anywhere, give me a reason. And it wasn't until 2007 when I got laid off at they laid off the whole floor at the company I was working for. And I was like, maybe I should start charging and do charts and readings, charts and cards. One of the things you asked earlier is, what is the legacy I want to leave behind? That's really important for me. Black generational wealth is really important to me. One of my goals is to buy land. I'm really into Black farmers. And I want to buy land and cultivate it. And when I pass away, I want to give that land to Black farmers, or like a collective of Black farmers. I also want to do, as you can see, I have health issues. I really want to buy land and make some tiny houses and what is the word? Curate a program for poor Black women that live in like food deserts or don't have access to good nutrition or healthcare. And I want to call it Reset. And it would be like a 30-day program where you learn how to shift your relationship to food and nutrition for health, not for weight loss, not for diet culture, but for health.
Right.
And so that's one of the legacies I want to leave behind too.
Wow, that's so honorable. Wow. And you really got it planned out. That's amazing.
Oh, I got a mission. It's in my head.
Yes, thank you. And so what I want you to do, I don't know if you're following us on the Wellness Planet, but some of the things that you were talking about is kind of in the mission and goals of what I'm trying to do with the Wellness Plan. So please follow us and stay in touch. All of you guys, please subscribe to our YouTube and we'll, whatever. But networking is also, I'm a leader. So.
Yes.
Okay, so all right. So y'all tell me, what do y'all think Renee is?
I'm gonna guess Moon first, and then maybe Capricorn Sun second, if there's 2 Capricorn Suns in here, just because of that relationship with time, specifically is like way stronger than mine. It's just very seems very ingrained in how you operate on an emotional level, in an emotional space as well. And also what you just said was really beautiful. It was really
It
cool.
was very beautiful.
I guess moon too, but that is just me trying to like go off my instincts and not yeah, because you guys are really deep into astrology with the aspects and everything. I'm still learning, so yeah.
That's okay. We all start somewhere. We all start somewhere. Renee, how long did you say you've been doing this?
Professionally or at all?
At all.
I discovered tarot. There's a girl I went to high school with, and when we both graduated, we really became friends. And I graduated in 91. And so I was using her deck so much after I found it that she bought me my own deck for Christmas in 91.
Wow.
And then the next year, I ended up being roommates with this leprechaun of a redheaded gay boy. And his mom was an astrologer. So basically, he was an astrologer, and he wanted to learn tarot. So every day we would get up and teach each other astrology tarot. And that was in 92. And then in 2007, I started a business called Tarot Chick, and that's when I went professional.
Amazing. Amazing. Such an inspiration. I mean, to me.
Before it's revealed, can I ask, because maybe this will help me, what is your favorite, well, what of the tarot deck, what card do you feel like the strongest relationship to?
Oh my God. The High Priestess.
Ooh, come on now.
I'm sticking with the moon.
All right, let's see. All right. So Renee does this look right, Renee? I didn't double check y'all charts. I hope everything look right.
Yep, that's right.
Okay.
That's me.
Okay, so she's a 23 degrees Capricorn rising. She's a Cap rising. And Saturn is in Gemini running the show. So let's see. What I found interesting and why I would have probably went with Moon if I didn't see your chart before is because you were talking about land. And I feel like land sometimes can be a moon thing. But this is a domicile, also a Cancer moon. We have Saturn and Gemini in the 5th house. And so my question when I see sometimes with Saturn in the 5th house is, of course, how do you enjoy yourself? Because with Saturn in the 5th house, it wants to be, Saturn really doesn't want to deal with people, but it's in a Gemini sign. So that's kind of weird. Like, do you find joy to be something that is kind of, having issues with that, or is that not hard for you at all?
One of the things I loved about discovering tarot is it gave me a reason to socialize. I could have something that I was doing. I had a thing to do to communicate. Yeah.
So
because I was a really shy kid.
You were shy as a child.
Very, yeah. Even as an adult, a little bit.
Even as an
I'm
adult.
definitely an introvert. Yeah.
You're an introvert. So, that kind of makes sense because the Saturn is there, and wherever it is, it retracts from some of that energy in there because it's, it's a malefic. You have the sun on your IC in Taurus, and you have a Venus in Taurus. So your Venus is very happy. You have a Mars in Aquarius. I'm also a Mars in Aquarius, but this Mars is at 29 degrees in the 2nd house. So that's very interesting. I don't really think Mars likes to be in Aquarius, even though it's a Saturn ruled sign. I find, and maybe it's just me, initiating things is very hard for me because, you would think because Mars is exalted in Capricorn, but I feel like in Aquarius and air, it just doesn't feel like it can, a lot of things just kind of poof gone, you kind of feel like that sometimes. So I wonder, do you feel that at all? Mars in the 2nd house? No. Do you feel like
I view my Mars is in the 1st house.
Oh, it's in the 1st house?
Yeah, it's right on that line.
Okay, so if it's in the 1st house,
yeah.
So that would be how you come across. So do you feel like you come across as an initiator, It's something like I feel that from you too. Jupiter is also in Aquarius. So for you to say that you found something to work on, that you would talk to people, that's kind of crazy with a Jupiter in Aquarius. I think you'd be talking your tail off. But I'm thinking about also, you know, the sun is in Taurus in the 4th house by the IC. You know, this is somebody that wants to be kind of comfortable, protected, kind of in the, you know what I mean? You feel comfortable like that. And it's not, and you know, that's kind of how you feel comfortable. So I understand that too. Pluto is in Libra along with Uranus. And you have a square between Uranus and what? Your moon? Yes, a square between Uranus and the moon. That's interesting. So that would make me ask about your mom, but we're not talking about the moon today. So with Saturn and Gemini, was your dad, what kind of work did he do? Or what is there any story with your dad that's interesting?
He's a minister.
Okay, the reason I asked is because the sun is on the IC, and then you have the Saturn ruling the chart. So he's a minister. And did he, I guess that was very important growing up, or there was some tradition in that have you carried forward any of that, or did any of that?
I feel like I'm a minister in my own way. And just not in the Christian religion.
Okay, let me ask you this. Did you get any money from your dad? Or
No.
You didn't get any money from your dad?
No.
Interesting, because you know the main thing that I would see is because the Saturn is ruling the second house too, is I would think that the dad would be you know, especially from the Saturn in the 5th house, be doing something with your money when you have a son also in Taurus. But that's interesting.
He's still living, you never know.
Yeah, maybe you'll get something eventually. So Pluto is in your 1st house, and so that can be interesting. And then you have Saturn that is conjuncture Mars right now, and so I think in the 2nd house that could mean that, you know, you're working hard towards something that is going to bring some value or something to you. That could mean that. And then you have Jupiter in your 3rd, joining up with your Mercury, perhaps learning something new. Are you moving?
No, we bought a house.
When did you buy a house?
Last summer.
Okay, last summer. That was a while ago.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. But still, I think Jupiter would have still been in the 3rd or coming into the 2nd, 3rd. So that's interesting. There was some growth in the neighborhood, or, you know, your finances or something that allowed you to purchase the home or something of that nature. So Uranus is on the IC, probably feeling very anxious. That can cause a lot of issues with just anxiety, and sometimes even breathing problems, just depends. And then you have the South Node conjuncture Uranus at the top, and a whole bunch of planets activating the 11th and 12th house. So you might be doing more community work, or more just reaching out in the community in all of your little specialty ways that you heal people. Okay. Anything you want to say about your chart? Anything that anybody sees about the chart they want to speak on? What I like about a lot of the Capricorn charts is the shape of the aspects, always like it looks like a shape, or it's building something. And it just reminds me of the Capricorn energy of building something.
As a Capricorn rising, does it get easier? I'm sorry to cut you off.
Go ahead, what'd you say?
As a Capricorn rising, does it get easier?
To me, yes. They can speak to that, yeah.
To me, yes. I was a very serious, old, young person. And now 50, other than some of the health stuff I'm going through, I've never felt more fun, more buoyant, more beautiful, more free. And so, like, I really believe that Cap's period, but Cap rising, we age in reverse. You know, you really learn how to just value joy more, and devalue this need to prove yourself. Yeah.
I love that. I love that you imparted that on us. And so I don't have a Capricorn moon. They didn't show up. But a lot of times with Capricorn moon, of course, Capricorn does not want to be on the sign of the moon. And a lot of times that could represent issues with the mother. And so I was going to get all in that, but they didn't show up. And so anyway, that will be it. The last thing I want to ask you guys is, what is your Capricorn superpower? Before we end, we got 9 minutes. Tell me, what is your Capricornian superpower? When I did Libra, for an example, my Libra superpower is that I can convince people to do anything. So what is your power?
I think mine is I could be, at a bus stop or in a store or something, and people think I know what's going on. So people ask me for directions a lot. But people just assume that I know what's happening a lot. Yeah.
They can sense the wisdom and the knowledge that you might have. I guess, showing the way. That's such a Capricorn rising thing. Okay, anybody else?
My work ethic, I think. Like I can come in and kind of and see how something can be bigger and like build structure around.
Come on, structure.
Yeah.
I love it.
This one's gonna sound a little cocky or egotistical, but I definitely don't mean it this way. You just can't stop me.
Period.
Yeah, I may be my own worst enemy, and that might put me down sometimes, but like I'm unstoppable.
Come on now.
I'll have that Phoenix energy. I'll burn down. I will go down in flames, but I'll be up and fixing my hair and good to go in like a week, and I'll be at it again.
Right, because that melancholy does sit in for Capricorn people. Like you do go down. A lot of the mythology that I read, they went to the underworld, and it was only after the underworld, when they came back up, that they reaped the treasures. So Saturn within it, it is a hard planet to deal with. It is the greater malefic, right? But I think in time, Saturn likes time and maturity. You crack through that earth, and you eventually get the gold of what Saturn offers you. I think a lot of people talk about how hard Saturn is. Saturn return ain't no joke. When Saturn transits something, it's not no joke. But have you ever reaped the benefits of Saturn? Because I have. And those tangible things, that when you finally see that your work has paid off, you know what I mean? You can't beat that. We need Saturn. We need Saturn. And that's something I had to learn, because I hated this planet. Hated it. And I was like, I don't get it. Is there one thing y'all want to say really quick? I know I said that was last, but I just thought about it. I do this with everybody. What is a misconception about Capricorn that you want to just say that's not true? Go ahead, Jordan.
People think we're boring, and that one cracks me up, because you're kind of telling on yourself. If you think we're boring, that means we don't like you. It means we're playing possum, we're playing dead. If we're boring, that means we are giving you none of our energy. So
that's very easy for a Capricorn.
Be careful if you call us boring, because that means we just don't like it.
Anybody else? Capricorn.
I want to talk about misconception about Saturn too. Saturn is not your enemy. Saturn is fair.
Yes.
Saturn, like, you do the work, you get the benefit. That's not cruel. That's not mean. It's just straight. So Saturn is not. In fact, Saturn's your friend. Because you can have friends that are like, and you don't grow from them. But you have that one friend that if you really want to know, you go to them. That's Saturn. Okay. The misconception about Capricorns is that we're not fun, that we're like, Capricorns have a great sense of humor.
Yes, they do.
But a lot of times, and this could be me, you won't know that unless you're next to us. Because I'm not going to envelop you in that part of me unless I've invited you in. But once you're in here, there's a party.
I believe it. Yeah. I'm ready to go party with y'all now. Okay, Alicia, do you have anything?
No, because I don't want to misspeak. I don't know. Because I really feel like a Leo. And I appreciate the Capricorn rising. I think it saves my chart. I really do. But Yeah, I'm gonna keep. I have to research.
You would feel like a Leo because that Saturn is in Leo ruling the chart, so that makes sense. And you haven't matured enough. How old are you?
I'm 26.
Okay, you'll start feeling it soon. Yeah, because your Saturn is in Leo.
It's in Aries.
It's in Aries. That's right. Saturn's in Pisces right now, so it's getting ready to come. It's about to come.
I know.
All right. And so I'll just part with this. I have, my father is a Capricorn, and I was raised to, go to the library every day, and I had to write my name a certain way. He didn't like this, and make up my bed. He was a Marine, and he was just very strict, and I hated him, growing up. And I can't stand him now because he's brutally honest, like, oh, you gained weight, this, that, and the third. But what I can say is that if it wasn't for the discipline that was imparted on me from my father, I just wouldn't be who I am today. If my father didn't have the integrity to make it out of the hood and try to, go and be a Marine and make something of himself, he could have been on crack like the rest of my aunts and uncles. But the reality is that because he had that tenacity, that Saturnian energy, he created a legacy for himself, and not only for himself, but I am his legacy, right? And so I'm very grateful for Capricorn. I'm very grateful for Saturn energy. And I do want people to know that it can grow you. It is like the parent that wants to grow you, wants to push you to do more. And it's the same thing that Renee said, is like people will say, yes, 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 right? Jupiter's yes, 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 yes. But you never fucking do anything. And it's just the same thing with artists. They do all these drugs, everybody around them saying yes, all these yes men, they doing the wrong thing. Nobody ever says no. Nobody ever holds them accountable, and nobody ever raises the bar and says, okay, you did that, now it's time for you to do this. That's what Saturn is. And we need Saturn.
I've been acting brand new. Bitches acting like they running shit they really ran through. I spend that 500 before I ever trap you. They thought I was gon' fall off. I hate to bring you bad news. Through so many racks, a bitch can't even see the flow. From Atlanta to LA, the only time I'm back and forth. Cheap niggas make you pee.